Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, in case you ain't know so, and welcome back to another dope episode of Sports with SoSo. Coming to you live, y'all. This week, the Heat continue to struggle, putting their playoff hopes in jeopardy. The Hurricanes losing the ACC tournament, but get a fifth seed for March Madness. Scotty dominates the Players' Championship this weekend, and the Dolphins make some very interesting offseason moves. It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go. We back live streaming it this time. We got a special episode recorded on a Sunday. Got a lot going on this week. It's a busy week for both you and I, my brother. But before we get to all of that, I want to know how you're doing first.
I cannot complain, bro. And even if I did, you or anybody watching this or listening to this, they're not going to care.
They might not complain. Care. I mean, no, I care a little bit, but not that much.
Why complain? But I'm good, brother. I'm good, man. Enjoying my weekend here. You know, it's been a lackluster weekend, not too crazy. You just kind of low key taking care of some things around the house and whatnot. But we got daylight savings, right? Or out of daylight savings. I think we're in daylight savings now. I never know how that works, but
I just call it extra golf time. That's all I call it.
That's all we got to worry about is those twilight tea times are going to be coming, you know, pretty much every day. So
every day. I was just, bro, you're not going to believe me, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people won't believe me. You will. But I was looking at golf tee times this weekend. I'm thinking, okay, I can make this one after work. I can make this one after work. Could definitely make this one after work. So I already got 3 rounds in mind if I can get to them.
Let me ask you this question. I've been asking more and more people this question a lot recently, like golf. You had the choice. First tee time out of the day. You're the very first people out on the golf course, or you're going to be the last people out of the golf course, the last tee time out. Now, I'll tell you this much. You will get to finish 18 on both.
Okay.
You will get to play as fast or slow as you want on either one. So you don't have anybody in front of you in this hypothetical. You taking that first tee time out or the last tee time of the day?
Man, to be honest, I prefer the first tee time if I can get it, man. If I can get those early tee times, I'd rather do that just for weather purposes. You know what I mean? I get hot easily, so it's a lot cooler in the mornings than what it is in the afternoons. So for me, I'm always going to go for the morning tee times.
I feel like that's where a lot of people were leaning when I've asked that. You know, we got a lot of morning birds. I don't know what that says about me. The fact that I would prefer the later one, man. I love a good Florida sunset. Yeah, the rain in the afternoons is a bummer, you know, so that's why we end up playing a lot earlier. But frankly, man, I prefer to get out there. You know, if I can get out at 4:00 and still get 18 in, I think that's a beautiful thing, man. I don't have to worry about waking up early on the weekend, you know, too early to get out on the range, or maybe you get out too early and there is no range. There's no way to warm up, so you're showing up cold. You know, at least in the afternoon, it's like I think, you know, even if I can't warm up, I've kind of stretched out throughout the day and I've gotten all my motions in, so I feel a little bit better. But
the one thing that I would say the advantage has, the afternoon has as an advantage is that you don't really show up to like warm up, right? You build up the anticipation of playing golf that whole day, like, oh shit, I'm gonna play at 4:00, 4:15, leave work, change, do all my things, and then when you show up, you're ready to have a good time. So I feel like you're a little bit more relaxed as opposed to the beginning tee time, right? You're kind of hyped up about it. Maybe you didn't sleep 8 hours, you know, you're anxious to get out there, anxious to warm up.
Not to mention, you know, if you start off the day with a shit round of golf, that might set the tone for the rest of your day. You might be pretty upset that you 3-putted 18.
More than likely. It'll make it harder. It'll make it harder to go to sleep that night for sure.
Yeah,
afternoon tee time definitely helps with that.
But what about you? Any golf this weekend? What'd you get into this weekend? Anything?
No golf this weekend, man. Just a bunch of errands, dog. Errands all day Saturday, a little family time Sunday, and back to it. You know what I mean? We got BKFC 38 next Friday. We had the Lorenzo interview dropped, and we were doing a lot of promo for that. Shout out to Lorenzo. Shout out to Goodfellas. Shout out to Javi. Just working, dog. A lot of work. It's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work, but I'm happy. It never stops. But, you know, a team that doesn't do enough work, I would say, is the Miami Heat, dog.
Oh, come on, man. What a segue into them.
I'm just saying. The reason why is because, you know, something clicked when we were talking a little bit before the show. And, we don't want to get too much into the coverage of the Heat because let's be honest, the way that they've been playing recently hasn't necessarily, garnered that respect. But what I will,
we've been beating a dead horse here for the last 2 months here. The Heat
right.
continue to struggle. What's our identity? What are we missing? What do we need? Who's going to step up? And nobody's doing it.
It's only, there's one guy and nobody else, it's the Jimmy and Bam show. It's literally become the Jimmy and Bam show. And I think that Jimmy's growing tired of it. We saw the comments that he made last week after that game, right? Where he was like, I'm getting tired of this losing shit. And next thing you know, we go out there and proceed to lose another 2 games back to back. After a loss, go out there and get a dub, be inconsistent, lose again, win, lose again. And it's just the effort that he's giving. He's giving us playoff type games, and nobody else on the team seems to match that energy. And I don't know if it's because he's, kind of turning up into playoff mode, or is it because the rest of the team is just slacking that much? But one thing holds true. Jimmy Butler is definitely our best player. And without him, what the hell do we have? We have a Bam who's learning on the go, right? Learning how to, put all that weight on his shoulders figuratively and carry the team as he's done this and most of the parts of the season. But he doesn't have that killer instinct that Jimmy has, right? He doesn't have that dog in him, because Jimmy can hit some clutch shots, make some clutch free throws, do clutch plays. And Bam's just not at that level yet. And we saw it multiple times in this homestand where Jimmy was the one putting forth that type of effort. We start with a game against Atlanta where we beat them 130 to 128. We needed a defensive effort to get the win, but Jimmy had to score 28 points, 26 points. 10 rebounds, go 10 of 12 from the line, literally do everything on the court and lock down their best player in order to give us the shot. And that's after them not having Trae Young for certain parts of the game. Then we follow that up with an ugly loss to Cleveland. And I say an ugly loss because that 104 to 100 loss against the Cleveland was a great game where we came back in the fourth, right? But our inexperience and lack of playmakers showed up yet again. Jimmy, again, gonna get tired of saying this, but him going for 28 points, 12 of 15 from the stripe, literally finding ways to manufacture points for an offense that is struggling right now to find some type of rhythm. We continue to struggle from three. We continue to not have as much bench production. And even when it comes in spurts. That was one of the games where Victor Oladipo blew up for 20 points, 20 plus points. But after that, he had a game where he had 8 points, and then another game where he had 10 points and a bunch of turnovers in between that. It's very hard to find anything consistent about the Z team except for Jimmy and Bam. That's why I said it earlier. Those 2 games in particular kind of sucked for me because it was like, dog, how do you beat Atlanta, try to really take advantage of this homestand, and then go out there and have that performance against Cleveland?
Doesn't make sense. And then what also doesn't make sense is that same Cleveland team that beats us, we go on to beat a couple days later. Right. On the road.
No, at home. We were at home. But still.
Oh, okay.
But
I thought
you're right.
On the road for that game, but still, I mean, it doesn't make sense. It's like when we need it, we need these games right now. What was the difference? And it's the same shit we keep beating a dead horse about. We can't close out games. Cannot close out games, and it's not enough that Jimmy Butler's. It's not enough that Jimmy Butler's doing everything that he's doing, and that Bam. Yeah, you're talking about Bam not being that guy. I mean, Bam's never going to be that guy, in my opinion. I don't think he's that kind of player. I don't think you ever looked at Tim Duncan on the Spurs and go, he's the guy at the end of the game that needs to make the clutch play. Like, that was usually going to be either like Manu or
Tony Parker.
Yeah, or Tony doing something, or at least driving to the lane and kicking it out. Correct. Bam's not going to do that. Bam's going to be on the recipient of somebody drawing attention like Jimmy, kicking to the lane and then passing it out to him on something easy where he should be. But he's not going to be that guy. We don't need him to be. We just need him to be consistent, which he has been for the most part this season. But it's not enough, man. And it sucks because, Jimmy's clock is ticking, as far as his time with the Heat, it's winding down. We don't know how much more time we have. And it's a shame to see, this season, the way it's unfolding, where we're not just talking about now positioning in the playoffs, where that was a conversation, like 5 episodes ago, are we going to be 5th? Are we going to be 6th? We're sitting in 7th right now, and it's not getting any better with the few games left in the season.
3 games behind New York right now, 36 and 33 on the season, and it's just hasn't been enough. It just hasn't been enough from this Heat team. And you said it, when we've needed to go out there and get a win in the worst way possible, we fall flat on our faces. We bounce back against Cleveland. We get that 119 to 115 win where Jimmy again has to drop 33 points, make a 3-pointer to put us ahead. Just do everything right. Another great game where he comes out. It's 12 of 16 from the field, 8 of 9 from free throws. And it feels like it almost wasn't enough to win that game because we almost lost it as well, right? We had to make some clutch free throws towards the end of the game to kind of keep Cleveland at bay and to kind of just help salvage the homestand, right? We lose that game and we would have gone 2-4 on a 6 game homestand. That's not how you want to go into the playoffs. And more importantly, that's not how a playoff team looks. I feel like all these teams that are really solidifying themselves in order to make the playoffs are winning games, winning tough matchups, winning close games. The Heat, just for whatever reason, man, they just can't pull these games out. And it sucks.
How did they do from 3 as a team that night? How did we do?
Terribly. Like I don't have it right here in front of me, but I know that
you're talking about the Orlando game or the Cleveland game?
The Cleveland game. The Orlando game was even worse. Yeah, the second Cleveland game. The Orlando game was even worse. Because I'm gonna look up the stats for that Friday night. I thought that was maybe one of our. My point was I thought that was maybe one of our better offensive 3-point performances as a team this season, which wasn't great. And even on our best night, we barely beat these guys. Teams that last year, when we were firing from 3, when we were really on from 3-point land, we were murdering people. Guys with double-digit wins. We're not doing that this year. This year, we're barely scraping by. We beat them, even though we shot well from 3 by 4 points. It came down to the wire. All these games are just coming down to the wire now, and it's some of them don't warrant that finish, unfortunately, in my opinion. No, man. And look, even that game against Orlando that you were getting a little bit ahead. Yeah, we got a couple of 3-pointers that were key 3-pointers in that game. But again, when the main one came from Jimmy to tie the game and send it into overtime. And immediately after Jimmy makes that 3 and we go into overtime where he's feeling confident and feeling vibrant, we just go out there and miss our first 3 shots. And then that easily gave Orlando the game, put us out of reach, and now we have a pissed off Jimmy leaving the court with 10 seconds left, knowing that this game is over because he just knows that he's giving way too much effort. He's giving way too much effort for this team, and truth be told, we don't have enough talent to help Jimmy in that regard. So if Bam's not stepping up, if Hero doesn't have a good game, and Jimmy does what he does, it's not a recipe for success, and we're gonna lose those games more often than not.
In that game against Orlando, Kyle Lowry came off the bench, correct?
Correct.
And he
made his return, but if I'm honest with you, man, he didn't impress me. There's nothing about that guy right now that impresses me. Nothing about that guy that shows me, hey, this guy belongs on the Heat right now or can help us in some regard. I don't feel comfortable or confident in any of that. I don't feel comfortable in saying, yeah, we need to rely on Kyle Lowry right now, or we need to help him facilitate our offense. To me, he's just become another role player in this very a crowded backcourt, and he has to do something in order to make himself stand out. Can he do it? Yeah, sure, probably. Will he do it? I doubt it. I seriously doubt it.
There's a reason they made him a bench player. He went from a starter, having a starter's salary. That was the argument, right? He's getting paid all that money. He needs to come, he'd be a starter and not come off the bench. It's gotten to the point where it's like there's no reason why this guy should get started minutes, man. And even still, I don't know if he has a future later on, as a starter with the Heat or even with the Miami Heat after this season, man. I really don't see Lowry here long term, but I also don't see the Heat being around in the postseason long term either, man. If we make it to the postseason,
and look, being honest with you, as much as I want to say that for sure we're gonna make this tournament, I don't know if we can win enough games down the stretch, because even losing 2 games in a row, 3 games in a row, that shit can drop you from 7th to 9th to 10th real quick. And
Real quick.
granted, the Heat don't have that many games that they have to look forward to try to win. But like we said, you're playing teams that are either ahead of you or right behind you in the Eastern standings. And any type of loss right now for this Heat team just feels like a bigger setback. More importantly for me, I think the biggest issue is Jimmy, and his attitude and his feelings towards this Heat team. How good did he feel about these guys going into the playoffs? Does he feel confident? Is he mad? Is he pissed off? You know what I mean? Like, all of these things are factors that go into how hard he plays the next game. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. Him being our best player is really worrisome, because we don't have another player of his caliber, and I don't see how he can turn it around by himself. The bench will really have to step up. Struz had kind of a good game. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's impossible, man. You got 5 other guys on, on the other team, at any given point on the court. One guy cannot win the game. We can't. We need role players to do stuff. Kevin Love, Cody Zeller.
Just guys.
We're getting what I thought we were going to get from those guys, just bodies pretty much, because they're not going to be offensive threats. They're not scoring for us, and then defensively too, dog. Like, we're just breaking down on defense, like especially late in the game, like we just cannot close out, and it's frustrating. But anyways, going back to your point.
My point being, like, again, Jimmy's giving his best. He's in playoff mode. Bam looks like he's in playoff mode. Everybody else doesn't look like they're playoff mode. It's either hit or miss. Struz, hit or miss. Had a good game, has a bad game after that. Victor Oladipo has a good game, has a bad game after that. Gabe Vincent has been starting all these games that Lowry's been out, but he hasn't produced enough offensively. He hasn't done anything offensively. So how can we, really depend on any of these guards to come out here and really do something for us? I just don't see it happening. And look, if we were to get into the playoffs, I don't feel confident in us getting out of the play-in tournament, because we would have to be an Atlanta team who can show they can beat us. We would have to be, a Chicago team that's playing tough, even though they lost one of their players' ball. Toronto, another tough team with a lot of experience. I don't feel confident in this Heat team. Anybody who says that they feel confident in this Heat team is wild right now. Wild,
bro.
I feel like that's too much time that we're going on the Heat, dog.
Confident, bro. We are playing Utah tonight by the time you're hearing this.
Yeah.
And I do not feel confident about this game. I'm going to the game strictly because I'm going to, take my godson. He wanted to go to the Heat game, and I'm going to take him, the one before the season ends. We don't got a lot of home games left, but I don't feel confident about the Heat winning. I might buy him a Jazz jersey if they got one on sale.
Don't do that, dog.
Just in case. We got to hedge. We got to hedge. I'll have the Heat jersey. I'll have Jimmy's jersey on.
Just pick a bunch.
We got to hedge.
Pick a bunch of Utah players on your price picks, and that's it.
No free ads.
No, man.
But no, yeah, man. We got Utah now, coming up, and this is at home. Another must-win situation. All these games are must-win.
All of them are must-wins for the Heat right now. Every single game moving down the line is a must-win game for them. And again, it doesn't look promising. It looks like we're going to stay status quo. You mentioned that we got Utah. We play Memphis after that, a good team. Chicago, a team that's behind us. If they beat us, they move even closer to us in the play-in tournament. Not confident down the stretch here, man. Not confident. But like I said, I feel like we're wasting time on the Heat, because if the Heat don't want to put up the type of performances that we know we're capable of, they're capable of, I'd rather just not, invest any more into this season. I'd rather see what the future holds. Once we get rid of Lowry and maybe a couple other players and go from there and build up the team. Yeah,
we see the writing on the wall, bro. I'll tell you what, Miami basketball is on the struggle bus right now. The Heat are driving it. Yeah, there's a team they got one foot on it right now, thinking about jumping on.
They're thinking about jumping on
it. They might get an Uber. They might just Uber, do their own thing, but they got at least 1 foot on the struggle bus.
Hurricanes got an Uber for sure. Don't jump on that struggle bus. It just sucks because they had some good momentum going into the ACC tournament. A lot of high hopes for them. Me specifically, I thought that they were going to be able to use this as a tune-up, right, into the March Madness NCAA tournament and kind of just help themselves get a little bit more confidence and build a little bit more chemistry before that tournament kicks off. And they did so. They end up beating Wake Forest 74-72 in the quarterfinal. It was a very tight ball game.
Very tight ending.
Very tight ending. Not a lot of defense on both sides, a lot of offense on both sides. And ultimately, the Hurricanes, and led by Isaiah Wong that game, ended up getting the win. Jordan Miller had 18 points. Omier contributed 14 points with 11 rebounds. A good performance and something that I thought that they were going to be able to build on. And then we head into the matchup against Duke last Friday. And
now, before you go on, this season, regular season against Duke, we went to the game at home where we whooped them.
We did.
They beat us last second at Duke earlier in the season, so we split, correct?
Correct.
So all indications were that we should have beat this Duke team.
Absolutely. Especially with the way that our main talent was playing. Jordan Miller playing good, Isaiah Wong playing good these last 2-3 weeks. So these guys had a lot of confidence. And the last time both times that we had played Duke previously, both Miller and Wong had, did a lot of damage as far as offensively goes against Duke. But something happened in the first minute of the game. We lost our main engine. We lose Norchard Omier to an ankle injury where he landed on a Lively III's foot. Took him out of the game immediately. He looked bad. Couldn't put any weight on it. They had to take him to the back for x-rays, which were negative. Nothing broken. Nothing really badly sprained. Just a rolled ankle. And he ended up leaving the arena that night in crutches, which is obviously not a good sign moving forward for the Hurricanes.
But it's not the worst sign.
No, the worst sign was us losing to Duke 85-78, and the way we lost, right? We couldn't just, when we lost Omier, we didn't have any other type of size to bother the 7-footers that Duke has, including Lively, like I mentioned earlier, and that kid just really did his thing. He took advantage of Omier not being there, who's the second best defender in the ACC as far as big men go. And obviously his presence is usually felt on the court. He's a great blocker. He's a great rebounder. He's a guy who can go out to the 3-point line and kind of defend a little bit too with the smaller guys. And that shit just killed us, man. The lack of size killed us, and Duke took advantage with their 3 7-footers and really scored more in the paint than what we're used to. But credit to the Hurricanes, because even without their best defender, they still battled to the end, brought it down to about a 2-3 point deficit with about 2 minutes left, missed a 3-pointer after that. And again, this is after Jordan Miller coming down and hitting some big shots, Isaiah Wong coming down and hitting some big shots. Just not enough, man. And it's a good learning experience because ultimately you lose to Duke, who was hot as hell, right? They had won 7 straight games prior to facing the Hurricanes. Go out there, win their 8th game, and they eventually win the ACC, beating Virginia, on Saturday to win the ACC tournament, guaranteeing themselves a spot in the NCAA tournament. Hurricanes also solidified their ranking in the NCAA tournament. That comes out this afternoon that they get the 5th seed. Will be playing in Albany in the Eastern bracket, facing who do they face on Friday? I had it just here. Fuck.
Speaking of brackets, though, while you look that up, make sure to go and check out the Sports with SoSo bracket challenge on ESPN Fantasy. We got our own bracket set up. You can check it out. Check out Sports with SoSo on Instagram. You'll see the post where you can go and look for it. I believe it's Sports with SoSo bracket on ESPN, and then the password is just password, I think, right?
Yeah, it's I actually made it open. I took off the password so everybody makes it a lot easier to join.
Perfect.
Yeah, took off the password, so we'll have as many people as we can fit in there. And Hurricanes are playing 12th ranked Drake. Now, you know me, dog.
Drake?
Exactly, dog. I got to go out there and
do the phone?
Guys. Yeah, that guy. and look, potentially they have a good type of seeding in order to get to at least the elite eight, right? You go out there and you take care of Drake, and then you end up facing the winner of Indiana and Kent State. And again, Hurricanes have more wins than both of those teams come as far as both out of conference and in conference. So I feel really good about the Hurricanes' chances in order to advance either to the Elite Eight and possibly further than that. But it all starts on Friday when they play Drake. I know I'll be tuned into that game. I believe the game starts at 12. Don't quote me.
But now tournament play starts on Thursday, correct?
Correct.
So make sure to get those brackets in by Thursday morning before the first game of the day.
Yes, sir, because we're gonna lock them bad boys in, so we don't want anybody, switching up the picks.
Yep.
Let's see, man.
I mean, I think like the biggest question mark. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'll let you wrap up on the Canes. But for me, the biggest question mark, and I think everybody, the elephant in the room is, how healthy is Omir going to be for this?
Facts.
We have them going very, very far in our bracket, possibly all the way in our bracket. But a lot of it, you talk about a difference maker. Omir is that difference maker because of the fact, you got Isaiah Wong, who's, offensively gifted, and you got, a couple of these guys that can really score well, but if they got pressure in their face and they don't have another body to take off that big body, the covering the lane or in front of them, or even just down there banging down low for second chances and rebounds, changing the pace so that the other team isn't getting their own offensive rebounds. That's going to be, what we just saw against Duke this week. We might be out early if Omir doesn't come back now. And if he does come back, how healthy is he going to be? That's going to, how much is he going to be able to play? I think we need him out there, him out there at 50% is better than not out there at all. So it's go time. We need him out there, but our postseason, our March Madness depends on how healthy Omir can get from here to Friday.
There's no doubt about that. And you know what I was going to say is like the Hurricanes regular season has been a success, right? We got a top 5 seed. We were in it in the ACC tournament, beat Duke, beat North Carolina, had all these good things that we can reflect on, right?
Mm-hmm,
but now the second part of the season is taking place. And you're right. Health is a major factor. And not only for us, a lot of these teams that depend on one or two guys defensively to go out there and make the difference. Like you said, we have Isaiah Wong, we have Jordan Miller, we have all these guys who can score the basket. How many teams have a lockdown defender, especially in that big center position? Not too many teams. And definitely Omir makes a difference for us. I'm hoping that by Thursday, he'll be good to go. He's going to have at least 5 days off in between games, keep his feet up, elevated, all that good stuff. And I think the training staff is going to also know how to really try to take care of his foot and get him ready for Thursday's matchup or Friday's matchup. But I feel like the Hurricanes have enough, right, to at least get through Drake, even if Omir's not 100%, right? Win that game. Let's focus, put all our energy into that first game, get the momentum going, get a dub, and just move on to the next game. That's how they have to be approaching it. Get a win, move on, get everybody healthy. Let's see.
Yep.
Make sure to fill out your brackets, y'all. You don't want to miss this one. Your boy SoSo put it together. We're going to have a great prize for the winner with the most points at the end, and me, I always keep the goodie bags entertaining, so don't want to miss this one for sure. Check the link in our bio. It's on the Sports with SoSo Twitter page.
That's it.
That's the one. All right, now let's get into something exciting. We saw a dominant performance this weekend by a guy named Scotty Scheffler, who was fighting for the number 1 ranking. Got it after this win this weekend at the Players Championship up in TPC Sawgrass. I know you didn't get a chance to watch too much of the beginning rounds, and I had texted it in the group. Scotty looked a little off in those first 2 days, and then this dude just turned it up, dog, and dominated the rest of the third and fourth round. I think he shot a 69 today, shot a 65 on Saturday. Just overall killing it.
Today, I think he was 3 under for the day. Yeah, fourth round, he was 3 under on the final 60. Round, which was a great day. I mean, yeah, he started off the first 7 holes, didn't have a birdie, and then he birdied 8, 9, and then he birdied 10. He had 3 in a row, so he had a really good closing day. Scotty Scheffler, man, wow! I mean,
a golfer.
And the storyline going into this was, who's the real world number 1. You have guys, 3 guys right now in the mix: John Rahm, Rory McIlroy, and of course Scotty Scheffler. And Scotty, dominant performance at a tough event, Players Championship, considered the 5th major in golf. Goes out, shoots 17 under par, dog.
Sick.
Second place was 12 under par. That was Tyrrell Hatton, who backdoored that second place victory on a great 7 under round today on his closing round. He shot 7 under. to get to 12 under. He was at 5.
We saw
And
a couple of guys.
We saw a couple of guys, you know, kind of nip at the heels, but not even do enough because Tyrrell was really the closest one, and he was 5 strokes back, dog. That's just to put in perspective how dominant this victory by Scotty was. But you had Tom Hoge yesterday, 10 under, broke the course record. The sandwich. He finished 10 under for the round. This is crazy, dog. Check this out. This is golf. This is the beautiful thing about golf. Tom Hoge sits at 2 over on Friday. Thinks he's gonna miss the cut. Cuts at 1 over. Booking flights, looking at flights, decides, you know what? Man. Let me see what happens. Cut comes down, 2 over. Hoge makes the cut.
I'm in, baby.
Comes out Saturday on moving day, shoots a beautiful 10 under round, 62. Dog. No blemishes, no bogeys. It was 5 birdies on the front, 5 birdies on the back, and he got himself tied for 3rd place.
Yeah.
On Friday, he was about in jeopardy of not making the cut, not making any money this weekend. But he walked away with almost, I would say, close to $1 million.
No, clean. And you know what? What he really walks away with is the confidence, right? To say, yo, when I'm locked in, look how great I can be. Because he went out there and shot a course record 62. And there's a lot of big names that I hit 63. You know what I mean? And for him to go out there and just dominate the day and really play into his own game, not get too far ahead of himself, hit big shots, make some amazing birdie putts. I can't say nothing more about the sandwich stock. He killed it.
He balled, and then to put it in perspective, I mean, this course is one of the hardest courses on PGA, on the PGA Tour, and to shoot 10 under on any given day, like that right there, like out of the 4 rounds, 1 round you strike lightning, and it changes everything for you. You know, you get elevated. Look at Tyrrell Hatton today. Tyrrell, like I said, he was at 5 under, shot 7 under, boom, solo second. Lot of good storylines, man. A lot of good golf this weekend. 17 electric. You know, you got the Island Green. It was crazy. Thursday morning, you know, on the early side of the coverage, there was an ace right away on Thursday, and then we had 3 more throughout the weekend.
Yes, sir.
That was awesome, man, to see that,
including one with the guy wearing double gloves. Shout out to Rye, dog.
Yeah, man.
What a beast, dog.
So Buddy's interesting because he rocks iron covers and he wears 2 gloves.
One of us.
Well, I don't know about all that, though. I don't rock. First of all, I don't even like a glove when I'm putting, and second of all, I'm never gonna have iron covers. I won't do it. But his story for doing it, you know, the reason why he does it is to kind of keep him humble. Apparently, I read that, you know, he used to have iron covers growing up because, you know, his family didn't have money, so he learned to take care of his stuff and not to take it for granted and really make things last long. So he still kind of does it today as kind of like an homage to that. Even though he doesn't need to, he does it as to remember, like, take care of your stuff, take care of your belongings, don't be wasteful and stuff. So that's pretty cool, you know, if he is a humble, cool dude like that. But I mean, what did he finish at? He was, because I know he was in the weekend.
I think he was in the top 10.
Yeah, he finished 3 over today, 6 under for the tournament. He was tied for 19th. I mean, that guy got a payday too. He got a couple $100,000, you know. That's a beautiful thing for a lot of these guys, man.
Absolutely. You know, one thing that we've been seeing in these few tournaments that's happened so far this year is the emergence of all these rookies and all these first-year players, second-year players really going out there and putting up some good performances, showing that they have the skills in order to be on the PGA Tour and also hang with some of the big guys if they're able to get a good round going. One of the guys that we have to mention is the guy who was playing with Scotty to start today's round, Min Woo Lee of Australia. Had an amazing 3rd round, really put himself in a position where he's in that final grouping with Scotty. And he just didn't have it today. Kind of started off on the wrong foot. Maybe the pressure might have gotten to him a little bit, playing with a guy who should be or is the number 1 in the world and trying to go, stroke for stroke with him. Not an easy thing to accomplish on such a hard course like TPC is. We saw plenty of guys who are amazing golfers, especially on 16, 17, and 18th, which are the hardest holes there, go into the water, go into out of bounds, really put themselves in tough positions to even get out of there with a par or just a bogey. So for him to put himself in contention and really finish in the top 10, just make himself more known on the PGA Tour, solidify his PGA card. It was nice to see these guys make it, you know, because those are the little stories that really make these tournaments stand out a little bit more. I wanted to ask you, what'd you think about John Rahm buying out with, I think he was a sickness, right?
I don't know, dog. A tummy ache or some whack shit. I mean, I don't know.
It had kind of weird.
It's got to be real severe, in my opinion, for you to withdraw completely from the tournament,
Right.
especially a tournament of this caliber right here. You know,
Yeah.
especially he's a competitor. He wants to win. He wants to be the world number one outright. You know, he doesn't want to hand that over to Scotty Scheffler.
No
And,
way.
you know, Scotty went out and earned it, don't get me wrong, but it's like, man, it would have been nice to see what John Rahm could have done after struggling last week at Bay Hill.
Right.
And I don't know what's going on with him, honestly, but you know, that's kind of it is what it is. Like he'll be back for the majors, you know, that's kind of probably what he's eyeing is the real majors, not the unofficial fifth major.
I hope it's not something that keeps him out, you know what I mean? And or is a serious injury. I just hope it's something that it was minor, because I really want to see him and Scotty go at it at the next Masters event or major championship, which is the Masters. To see those guys battle not only for number one, number two, as far as the rankings goes, but out and out be the best golfer, right, in the world. I think that's a hell of a storyline to watch for.
I don't know if it's happened just yet. It might have. I know we've had some elite groupings and stuff like that, but I think Masters opening round of the Masters, I think you pair up Rory, Rahm, and Scheffler to start the Masters.
That'll be dope. That would be dope. That's
must watch TV. But something else I wanted to point out, man, you know, is interesting. Like the Players Championship, you know, you talked about the newer guys, you know, coming up. A lot of newer guys, you know, did really well. You look at the top 10 this week, you know, you got guys in there, you know, like Hoagie, who's not a household name, Manu Lee, was this Cam Davis, Sung J M, Ling Mirth, you know, Justin Sue, you know, a lot of these guys that people don't really know compared to last week. Right. You got guys like Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth, Patrick Cantlay, Victor Hovland, Jason Day, you know, all in the top 10. And like, I was like, all right, that was all notable names. You look at this one this week and you're like, you're kind of searching in that top 10 for people you recognize. Right. I guess one of the main ones is Max Homa. Right. Hovland also tied for 3. Hovland's getting close, bro.
Tommy Fleetwood very close. Played some really good golf towards the end of the weekend. You know, didn't put himself in a good position in the first 2 days, but he started off the third round with at least a chance to get himself up there. Cantlay, we saw him in the mix early in that third round. But yeah, like you said, a lot of the guys who aren't necessarily top tier guys were in the battle to go out there. We saw at one point there was like 5 or 6 guys tied at -8. You know, at the end of the third round with Kim and with Woo Lee and Scotty being on top of the leaderboard. I think they were at -10, -11 at that point, but the field was open at the end of the third round. It looked like, well, if somebody has a really good day, they might be able to catch Scotty. But they didn't take into account that Scotty was going to have an awesome day and went out there and wrapped up the tournament, get his hands on that championship. Won it there with his grandma being in attendance, like got the whole family there. What an amazing victory, man.
That's now number 6 for Scotty.
Right.
I think that's number 6.
It is.
He's been on the tour for a couple years now, and last year really made his name. Got his first tour win last year. He just caught up to Max Homa. That's how many Max Homa has.
Wild.
He's just on
first time winning
right
the Players too. So
yeah, no, he's checking them all off. He got the Masters off early, which is wild.
Wow.
He got the Waste Management now twice.
Yes, sir.
He got Bay Hill already last year,
and now you add this
championship. Like he's just kind of picking them all off. He has to win at like Torrey Pines, right? He has to win at Pebble. Like, I feel like there's certain ones that you gotta go after, dog, you know? But now we got a couple of weeks here where it's kind of slow for golf. I mean, it's still exciting if you're a true golf fan, avid golf fan. You got the Valspar over at Innisbrook, which is also conveniently the location for the Miami Golf Pros Open 2023.
Go subscribe right now to the channel.
Facts. I'm going to be checking out this tournament because I want to get the lay of the land for the Copperhead where we're going to be playing in May.
See where we're at here.
And then the following weekend, you got the Corrales Punta Cana Open over there. And then the Valero Texas Open. That's 3 weeks is just kind of like, you know, if you're not a real big golf fan, don't worry about it. But this is all ramping up for April 6th, which is the start of the 2023 Masters.
We can't wait for that one, Doug. That's one tournament that everybody looks forward to, right? Because it has that prestige, the gold jacket, all the big names that have won it, the amazing scenes.
The gold jacket?
Shots.
I think you're talking
gold
about
gold jacket. My bad.
It's the green jacket.
That's what I said.
You said gold. You said gold twice.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. We got it on wax.
We got it on wax. Either way, you know, it's a prestige type tournament.
Yeah, it's the Super Bowl of golf.
And honestly, it's a tournament that's had so many memorable moments. from both winners and people who haven't won that tournament, right? Who have lost that tournament. Yep. So it's definitely one for the books, and this year is going to be a great one. I really do hope that we get Rom, Rory, and fucking Scotty in one group at least one time during the weekend.
No, and it's not just that. It's going to be the first tournament that we see this year with the live guys.
Yes,
You're gonna have Cam Smith there. You're going to have former, Masters champions.
Bill's going to be
Johnson there. and Patrick Reed, and you know what I mean? Like it's gonna be interesting as far as what comes out of that weekend from that perspective with the whole live drama. So I'm excited, man. This is just the start of the golf season. It's already on fire. So it can only get better. I feel like
it's gonna get much better, man. Shout out to Scotty for winning the Players Championship.
Shout out to Shotty, baby,
my guy. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes here. The main reason why we even had to do this today, because we had some big news come across the wire for the Miami Dolphins, and man, it's a lot of excitement with what's happening here. First and foremost, we see these guys make a lot of moves to create a lot of cap space for this team, because we know we don't have that many picks. It started off with releasing Byron Jones, right? He said he's going to end up retiring, couldn't play anymore, couldn't jump. We saved ourselves $13 million there, 13.6 to be exact. We restructured Bradley Chubb's contract, save ourselves another $14.6 million in the cap. We converted Tyreek Hill's contract and roster salary into a $24.8 million bonus, right? Saving another $18 million off the cap. And on top of that, we even restructured like Teron Armstead, saving another like $4 million on the cap. All of that to say, damn, the Dolphins are really putting themselves in a position to go out there and sign 1, 2, 3 guys that may be in areas of needs. And we saw today that they traded a 2023 third-round pick, and I didn't even know this guy was still on the team, Hunter Long, for freaking Jalen Ramsey, dog. One of the best, if not the best, cornerback that has graced the football field in the last 10 years. Now this guy is a Miami Dolphin. As far as I'm concerned, this was one of the biggest areas of needs, right? Because we saw injuries decimate this position for our team, and also we didn't have enough experience there where guys can even learn from, right? And put themselves in a position to win. Jalen Ramsey now gives us 2 certified number 1 corners. We have Xavier Howard on one side, Jalen Ramsey on the other side. I don't know how teams are going to throw on us, dog. Like they're going to have to run the ball 24/7.
Yeah, and then they got to worry about our interior, which is pretty good. Big, I mean, huge news, especially considering, they were making all these moves that you alluded to a moment ago, and we were kind of thinking they're going running back. They're going to go all O-line. That's kind of the rumor. The Derrick Henry name was thrown around as far as still maybe potentially us. Around. It's still out there. That's still a possibility, but then lo and behold, all of a sudden there's a rumor, Jalen Ramsey kind of throws out a tweet signaling he might be headed to South Beach. And then it's, official from Adam Schefter just about an hour after that, hey, we're giving up a 3rd round pick this year for Jalen Ramsey. My initial thought was, this guy's kind of expensive and towards the end of his career. We are taking on a big contract because of the fact that he got a huge deal when he was in LA. Rightfully so. He did deserve that. He's had a hell of a career. He's a hell of a player. He still is a hell of a player. Right. But I'm just always on the side of, all right, if he already got paid that money, is his heart still in it? Number 1. And number 2, what does that do for us being able to get guys like Derrick Henry or an offensive tackle, on the right side of that line? Now, if we're making all those moves, which I don't know enough about the ins and outs, the financials of the Dolphins, that's not for me to worry about. It's my job is to worry about what the moves they make and how I'm feeling about them. I absolutely agree with you, man. I think we needed that. I when we wrapped up OnlyFans, I asked you and Martin what you guys thought we needed improvements on. I don't remember either one of you guys saying on the DB side. I thought you guys were kind of riding pretty hard for Noah and Cater Kohu and stuff. I remember I was very adamant that I wanted some help back there because it felt like the only person doing anything back there was, Javon Holland. He wasn't getting any help from his corners or his linebackers and having to stop plays, being our safety. I think now with Jalen Ramsey, you take some pressure off of Xavier Howard. You take some pressure off of a guy like Javon Holland, who can now help out more in the middle of the field, let these guys handle the outsides. We got that on lock now. Yeah. Now the mission on the defensive side, I think is going to be that middle linebacker position or the outside linebacker position. But the bigger question marks still remain. What are we doing on the O-line, and who's our running back for the 2023 season?
Yeah, that's major. That's definitely major. But for me, when I see the Jalen Ramsey thing, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, this is a guy who's a veteran. He's been in the league for a good amount of time. Came in 2016 with Jacksonville. Had one season, 2019, where he was hurt a little bit, missed about 4 or 5 games, and then every other season after that, he's been 15 games, 16 games, 17 games. While producing, right, over 50 tackles every single year by himself as a corner, right, one of the biggest defensive corners that exists in the NFL. Back-to-back seasons with 4 interceptions, area of need for this Dolphins team, right, where we don't have guys who are playmakers in that position besides Xavier. This was definitely a spot where, you pay for the experience and you pay for because you know what you're getting from him. He's not going to come out here and, rewrite the book as far as corners or change us or in any specific way as far as scheme goes. But what it allows us to do is to play a little bit tighter coverage like Vic likes to do as far as the defensive coordinator, and just has another weapon on defense that we can utilize, especially if we like to blitz a lot, send guys in, send the safety in. Just gives me more. One thing that we burned the Dolphins defense was on their secondary, and now you make the move to sign this guy and trade for him. You obviously are addressing that.
Not a middle of the pack corner either. It probably, arguably, maybe not right now, but in the last 5 years, he was at one point or another the guy, the top guy, which is why he got paid. What he got paid. The fact that we only had to get rid of a 3rd rounder, which I think it's the Patriots' 3rd round pick that they gave us for a guy named Devontae Parker. So if you think about it, we got rid of Devontae Parker and brought in Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, that's a win.
I think we're winning right now.
That's a win any day of the week.
So I think we got to be excited as Dolphins fans. Facts. Don't be that skeptic like I was initially as far as the money and what's that's going to do. Let those guys figure it out. Just know we got a great talent. A guy that has a proven track record, Pro Bowler, All Pro, Super Bowl champion. He might have some issues being, a character and whatnot, but at least he's on our side now. We don't got to worry about him being on the other side of the field.
He's available on Sundays, and that's all what matters. You know what I mean? We need guys who can suit up Sundays, and go out there and really play and make a difference on the team. And I feel like Jalen Ramsey is definitely going to do that, man. And he's a Florida boy too, went to FSU. So I'm sure he's very familiar with the layout of the land here. I think he's going to help us.
But what do you think now the next move is going to be for the Dolphins? Do you think there's another move made? And do you think it's going to be, because now, I'm sorry, I hate to do this. I just thought of something else to cut off the answer to your question, but we're now left with only 4 picks in this year's draft. So knowing we only have 4 picks, do you think the Dolphins make another move as far as a trade or a signing like that?
Without a doubt. The fact that we're being rumored with Derrick Henry and Bobby Wagner are no coincidence. Obviously, we have the cap space still to sign one or both of those guys, and it's also exploring those areas of needs, right? We do need a prime time running back. Derrick Henry would obviously check that box off. Same thing with linebackers. We need a proven linebacker who can go out there and create havocs and make plays, not just be there, make plays. And both of those guys definitely fit that mold. And I think that the Dolphins are definitely exploring it. Will they come away with both of them? I doubt it. But if I had to bet on one more than the other, it would probably be Derrick Henry, because running backs are a little bit cheaper to trade for. I'm not saying that we're going to get Derrick Henry, but I'm saying that I feel like if we make the move, you make the move for that guy. But I would like to see them go after Bobby Wagner. I feel like this defense hasn't had a linebacker of stature in quite some time, and that guy signing here will definitely be a linebacker of stature. So that's the move that I think that they will make. But Derrick Henry is definitely not off the table.
When I heard the Derrick Henry name, or the fact that we were shopping at running backs, I was like, but who's going to block for these guys? We need an offensive line. We need a right tackle. We still don't have that.
That's what the draft is for.
But, well, again, we only have 4 picks this year. But then I heard the name Derrick Henry, and I thought, well, if there's one guy that's his own offensive line, if there's one running back that comes with his own offensive brute force,
for sure,
it's Derrick Henry, dog. So that could be a really, really interesting play if we can get a guy like Derrick Henry.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind us building the O-line through the draft, right? Where you get talent who's not necessarily being looked at or, a lock because we've tried that so many times where we get a O lineman in the first or second round. He's like he's supposed to hit, and they don't end up playing the position or playing it well. I'd rather us take a chance on the O-line in those third, fourth, fifth rounds than to try to go out there and pay for an offensive lineman who may be older, maybe injury prone or something like that.
Sure.
Now, I'd rather trade for the Derrick Henry, the Bobby Wagners, the Jalen Ramseys, because those guys are proven. Yeah, it might cost you more right now, but those guys are proven. And if there's anything that we've seen about this Dolphins team is that they are ready to take it to the next level. And we've seen that commitment with the fifth-year option in Tua. The Dolphins made it official, locked him in for another year on top of what he has next year. And I felt like that was the smartest and safest move that they can make. We all saw how good this offense can be under Tua when he's healthy and able to have the time to make the plays. And I feel like they're throwing all the chips in that basket because they've seen it work. If their defense goes out there and becomes even better, that just alleviates the pressure on Tua. You go out there and get a Derrick Henry, that obviously alleviates the pressure on Tua, right? And allows him to be even more of a playmaker with guys like Waddle and guys like Tyreek Hill. Now, I'm interested to see how his health is going to be in this next year, right? To see what that fifth year looks like. But I felt like it was the safest move that they could have made for the immediate future.
Let me ask you this: was there a deadline on whenever they like have to pick up that fifth year option by?
I believe it was May 2nd. Don't quote me on that one, but I think it was early May.
Gotcha. So they have to do it ahead of time, regardless. Yeah. I was just thinking. I didn't know if they were able to do that. Like up until like the end of the fourth year. Like, hey, you know what? Now we're gonna pick up your fifth year option. I didn't know if they had that at play. Because if that is the case and they do it this soon, that's very, very telling. As a Dolphins fan, especially as most of the Dolphins fans that I talk to, which are get that guy out of here, give me Lamar Jackson, bring me Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, wah wah wah. It's very telling that the Dolphins would give him that fifth year option, for sure. Especially with the rate that QBs are going for right now. He's shown us, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinions, that he is capable of being a successful starting quarterback in the NFL.
I mean, if you're going to pay $40 million plus for a quarterback, you better be able to make sure that he win games for you or can win games for you. And we saw that. Look at the Giants. The Giants paid Daniel Jacobs
Daniel Jones.
$45 million.
Hate him, dog. Generational wealth for that guy, bro.
Geno Smith got paid a bunch of money. Derek Carr just re-signed for a bunch of money in New Orleans.
With New Orleans.
We're going to see Lamar Jackson sign a big contract. We're going to see these guys get paid. And I'd rather pay our own guy, lock him in for the cheapest that we can lock him in for as long as we can. And if Tua's health can stay at the level of his potential, then we're going to be, more than good. We're going to be Gucci, dog. Like, we know how good this offense and this team can be. It's all comes down to a matter of health. If he can prove his health, then we got a great deal for this year coming up and the following year. If his health is a question mark, continues to be an issue, guess what? We still have him locked in for that fifth year cheap that we can use as a trade bargaining chip or something like that, or even as a bargaining tool against him to sign him for even cheaper for the immediate future. Right. Who knows? But in the right now, it's the only move that makes the most sense. We're not going to go out there and trade for a top level quarterback, right? We don't have that many first round picks. And on top of that, we're not drafting his replacement in the first, second, or third round this year. So it makes sense to lock your guy in who can handle the offense, has some type of really good chemistry with the coach and the offensive staff, and just build on that. And I think that's what the Dolphins are gambling on. It seems to be a smart bet.
I love it, man. I'm liking everything that they've been doing these last 3 years now. So
me too, man. Me too.
Let's see if we can, if it all adds up to a postseason win this year.
Yeah. I mean, I hope, but you got to start somewhere, and it starts with making moves like this, Yep. Jalen Ramsey for a third round, man. What a steal.
That's very big, very, very big. So let's see what we can do. No first round pick this year. No third round pick this year.
There's no second, I think.
That's the other one we're missing, right?
That's the only one, yep.
We have 4, 5, 6, and 7.
That's it. Gotta make do. We got. Gotta work with what we got. But you know what? We were right there on the edge of being a real serious playoff contender. I don't see why a little bit of investment on the defensive side, especially in that cornerback, linebacker position, wouldn't help at all. So let's
No
see what
doubt.
happens with this Dolphins team, man. I
No
think it's
doubt.
time to wrap up the show, Doug. I think we
About
did
that
a good
time.
enough job, man, of breaking down the weekend in sports.
Yes, sir. Let's get the out of here.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. And make sure to check us out on YouTube. We got the Lorenzo Medina, aka the Giant Killer interview out there right now. Shout out to him. We got an amazing interview coming up with one of the UN players. Not gonna tell you who just yet, but make sure to tune in. Gotta tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
To tell another friend.
To tell one more friend. Tell them.
To hit that subscribe button on that YouTube button. That's how you get the notifications popping, and that's how you can keep up to date with the latest on Sports with SoSo. Until next time, y'all. Peace.
Peace.